Welcome to another edition of the Mile High Real Estate Spotlight Podcast. And I'm Brian Arnold, and I'm just so excited. Like I say almost every single one of these that I do, because I am excited. I get to meet some of the best realtors that are in the state, whether it's in Colorado or some of the other states that I get to do some with. And what's so fun about this is when I call and I make arrangements to do these podcasts, I get to find out and create relationships with people who are just doing phenomenal things for clients. They are doing things that go above and beyond, and that's why they're so successful. And I try to make sure that when we do this, that I find the realtors that are doing just that, and whatever their special powers are, or the things that they'll specifically do for clients. Because what we realize is not everybody does this every single year, right? Not everybody buys a house 15, 20 times in a lifetime, right? To get used to it. We buy one maybe 4 or 5, or maybe sometimes there's going to be people who are first-time home buyers. And Mary is really good at that. And so when we think about, what locations to go to, where do I want to find a house? How do I get help? I was having a conversation just yesterday with a financial advisor, and we were really just talking about, what does it take for a person to be able to purchase a home? What are some of the things that they have to consider? What are the things that they have to look at? How do they know how to do this by themselves? Because we have laws and things that change all the time, and they do. And then we say, well, you haven't done this. We were even talking about like a car dealership, and it would be really cool if a car dealer, you could take somebody to represent you if you don't have a dad or somebody else who's done it a whole bunch of times. But when you're going to make a purchase this large, you definitely want to have somebody on your side. And so, Mary, I'm thanking you for being on here. Mary comes to us via, I think Colorado, Mary, and you can attest to this because you're not from here, but we're the only state that I know of that people walk around and say, I'm a native. Every other state, like you're from Georgia, like people in Georgia go, you'll walk into the store and say, I'm a native of Georgia.
Right.
Colorado is just this weird thing. And so, but you've been here long enough. Your husband brought you here. You are in one of the most beautiful areas of all Colorado, which is in the mountains out by Pikes Peak. And I love it every time I get to go up there. They say, why would anybody ever go to the Garden of the Gods? Just so you can stand there and look and just view, and then I think of like how fortunate you are to be able to walk out every single day, and then to be able to see, I think some of the most spectacular views are from some people's homes. And most of the time you don't know those people, so you never get to go to those homes. But you get to spend the time in those areas, in those homes, showing people homes, seeing these amazing views, and then to be able to share that with other people. So, Mary, before we get started, I just want to make sure everybody knows how to get a hold of you. So if you could just start out with just, hey, this is my numbers, however that they would be able to get a hold of you, because I want to make sure that they can.
Okay. Well, I'm really easy to find. Mary Sekowski, phonetically sound, Sekowski. You can reach me at marysekowski.com. My phone number is 719-502-1456. Call me, text me, email me, message me, Google me. You can contact me lots of ways.
All right. I love it. So tell us, just give us, who is Mary? How did you get involved in this? Where are you from? Why would somebody want to call you? Tell us about Mary.
Yeah, well, I landed in a dream career and something that I really wanted to do for a really long time. I'm from Georgia. I grew up there, lived there my whole life until I moved to Colorado. And I was a finance major in college. So I've spent all of my professional career in some sort of relationship building financial services. I spent 12 years in banking in Georgia. And upon moving to Colorado, I recognized it was a good time in the market and a good opportunity to get into something that I've always wanted to do. And that is to help people reach their financial goals through real estate. So it's been incredibly rewarding and wonderful. It's something that I absolutely, every single closing, feel so thankful and grateful to be able to do this and help people in something that I'm particularly passionate about, which is the number one way people, generate wealth in their lifetime is through their real estate investments. So I've been in the business for a little over 10 years here in the Pikes Peak region. And And every year I just am always amazed with the people that I get to meet and the homes that I get to see. I more than once have stood on the back deck of a home that I'm showing or that I'm touring, and I took a picture and posted it to say, look what I get to do. This is so lucky. I get to stand right here, right now, and enjoy this view.
What are some differences? I know when we think about mountain homes compared to city homes, and I've never. Well, I guess in California I had a cabin that was in the Big Bear Mountains and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but I grew up here, so you go to California and they go, these are the mountains, and you're like, these aren't mountains, these are like hills. That are there in California, so. But what is different that you've noticed about whether it's just showing people mountain homes or some things to look for? I mean, the views are obviously the selling point, but are there certain things that are part of a mountain house that is different than what is typically what you'd see maybe in a city?
Yeah, absolutely. Two of the biggest things that I come across all the time and are well and septics. Wells for water and septic systems for sanitation. That's something that is so different in a rural community, which we are in the mountains, from what you might find in the cities. Also, they're not cookie cutter. There might be some cabins that are similar, but by and large, the homes are different. Each one of them have their own unique qualities about them, and that makes it really fun. It also makes it challenging when it comes time to list a house and try to forecast that valuation, or when assisting a buyer with what's a really good competitive offer, is to really have someone that's knowledgeable about the mountain community homes to know how they do stack up against one another.
That's so cool. And so is septics and cisterns and wells, is that something to be scared of, or something that,
Not
hey, this happens all the time?
Yeah, it's nothing to be scared of. It's just something to know what you're dealing with, to know
Yeah.
what kind of maintenance they require, or, where your expenses might be incurred in the future as a homeowner when you have those. A well is great because you don't have a water bill, but when your well pump goes out, you have to replace that. So, it's just a different way of thinking, to know how to manage those and to be prepared as a homeowner.
Gotcha. Now, what about neighbors? When I think of mountain house, sometimes I think of these hermit type people that long beards, and you see these things on TV, on these shows, the reality shows or whatever. You think, I'll never get a neighbor, and if you like people. But is the opposite, or is it you'll never see anybody, or how
Yeah.
does that work in some of these mountain communities?
Well, in Woodland Park in particular, where I live and I do most of my business, we have a really small but tight knit community. Also has its community problems, like every small community does. But when it comes to neighbors in most of our communities in the mountains, you get a mix of primary residence owners, you get a lot of second home owners, you get vacation rental owners, someone who invested in the mountains because they like to visit there occasionally, but they might not spend all year there. And when they're not there, they'll rent it out. And so we kind of have that good dynamic of small towns, small communities, but but good networks and good friends within the communities that makes it a really nice place to live.
That's awesome. So, what do you think your favorite part about? I mean, you say you got your dream job. What is the favorite aspect of that job that you think is, this is why I do this?
Yeah, I kind of touched on it a few minutes ago, but I really truly am so passionate about someone being able to accomplish their financial goals in life. It's why I went into banking initially, and it's why I enjoyed banking for the time that I did, to help people with their entire financial picture. And adding real estate into that component is just awesome. Whether it's someone who's buying their first home, which I'm particularly passionate about, for their family, or expanding their portfolio into an investment property, a rental property, or a second home. It's just knowing that that asset can make or break someone's future, and helping them get into it under the terms that will help make their future better
Mhm.
is so rewarding.
Absolutely. Do you have a favorite story of a client that you were able to help or getting some money into a home, whether it was a first time or second time or vacation? What's your favorite story?
Yeah,
Or one
so
of them? I'm sure you have several.
I have a lot of favorite stories, but probably one of my favorites, and it's because I was fortunate enough to be able to help this family personally. Um, they were in a really difficult situation where they could not get into a home because of needing to build some credit. And so we found a home that my husband and I were able to get them into as a rental house and then walk them through it took about 2.5 years to walk them through step by step with the mortgage lender partner that I was working with to get them to a point where they could buy the house and make that their home, their forever home. And they're still there. This was several years ago. And they were
Wow.
so excited to be able to do something that they never ever thought they would be able to do on their own. And so having that expertise from the mortgage side, just from my financial services background, to know how to guide them and how to help them take those steps and understand what their mortgage lender was saying about, okay, if you do this and that, then you'll be, ready to buy a house in 2 years. And then helping them do that and making sure they stayed on track. It was awesome.
Hey, that's so cool. I think I did financial services for a while too, and thinking how much of an asset that is, especially because we do the transaction. So for me, it's a loan, or for you, it's you get a home. But we stay with these
Mhm.
clients, right? And we start thinking and talking about what does their future look like, and helping them
Mhm.
plan. And I was just doing one today where we were just talking about rate, and whether we should do a buy down or not a buy down, and the question of how long are you going to stay in the house. Are you able to do some of that future planning or future casting with some of your clients as you're walking through, because you have that background?
Yeah, absolutely. And right now, I think it's even more important to be that advocate for them, to help them understand what their options are, and to lean into those experts in the field of their mortgage lending. For example, with a buy down, for that mortgage partner to really explain to them, and then to, help ask the right questions that they might not know what to ask. A rate buy down, for example, right now, I'm having a lot of conversations with my clients that are especially, first time home buyers. They haven't been
Mhm.
through this process before on, okay, if you're gonna do this, that's wonderful. This is gonna give you a break on your payment right now, but make sure you plan for the future in this, because if that rate does go back up in 2 years, you don't want to be stuck, with credit card bills or other things. You want to put yourself in a better position by having this break for 2 years, not in a worse position. And so that education is something that I try to go through with those clients particularly, so that they're not stuck in 2 years, and that they're in a more favorable position. Maybe even at that point, they could refinance, maybe not. Maybe they could capture the equity that they've built in their home, because we are seeing a really unique real estate environment right now where um, prices and values are still going up. We've had a shortage of inventory of homes in our country for the last 10 years. And then COVID didn't help that with supply chain issues. So despite the interest rates where they are, values are going up. So these people that are buying homes right now can really, if they do it right, they can really capitalize into a great opportunity with things like the rate buy down, to build up some money, build up some equity, and then get into their forever home even in a couple of years, if it's not the one right now.
Absolutely. There's so much opportunity until you sit down with somebody, and especially like when you talk about the first time home buyer who doesn't know, all they have is this example from other people who are telling them stuff, but in most cases not the expert, right? Somebody who did something. I love it when the grandma comes in and starts to teach them about how to buy a house, and I
Hmm.
love the enthusiasm. But if grandma hasn't
Yes,
bought a house in 50 years, it's nowhere near the same process. You
that's
don't get
right.
to do a house with a handshake anymore.
Right.
And so it is so funny to do that. What do you think you've learned? I mean, you've been doing this over a decade now. So what do you think you've
Mhm.
learned over the decade you've been doing this that makes you stand apart from other agents? What are
I've
some of the
learned,
things that you think that you do?
I've learned how truly important it is, especially in a community like Woodland Park and the surrounding area, where we're a small community. It is truly important to lean into those relationships. When it comes to a business like mine, there's opportunities maybe in larger metropolitan areas where you can lean into, you know, online lead sources and lead generation and all this stuff. And that does work in some markets, but here it is truly all about developing those relationships, being involved in the community, and and networking with those that are around you on a daily basis. And so, as my career has developed over 10 years in this, I've learned and I've leaned into that more and more year over year. And it's generated some really sound, solid business in my career.
That's good, and I know it makes a difference. And you think of the young real estate agents who are just getting going, and in this market and all that. It's great to have that experience that's behind you. What could a potential? So I come up, I go, Mary, I dial the number that's on the screen, and I say, Mary, I want to get a house in the mountains. What do I get to expect from you? What are some of the things that you're going to do for me that I can say, yes, I got the right
Yeah.
person?
Well, my first question is going to be, have you ever been here? Do you know the area? Because if not, gosh, I want to spend a day and let's just go have fun. Let's go look around, let's go get to know the different neighborhoods. Let's just drive around and see some of the sights and be a tourist for a day of sorts. And I do that with a lot of my clients. And it's really fun. And then they start to see, okay, well, Cripple Creek is very different from Florissant, and Florissant's very different from Woodland Park. And I want a house with a mountain view, or I don't really care about that, but I do want trees. And we have that wide range of variety in our county. And so as people spend time here, and as I spend time with them, I start to get a good feel for their preferences. So certainly that face-to-face time is really important. Especially when I'm working with a new client, someone that has never worked with me before, or maybe has never even been to this area before.
I love that, because I
Beyond
remember
that,
when I went. Okay, go
I was,
ahead.
I was just gonna say, beyond that, the next steps that any of my clients are going to expect from me is I'm going to let you know when something comes on the market that is in that set that I've identified is what you're looking for. I think it's critically important to know as soon as it hits the market. And so with that, I make sure to set that up right away.
Cool. That is. I was going back as you were talking, and I was saying, I wish I would have had Mary, when I bought my mountain house, because the things I had no clue. I just said, we want to live in the mountains. My son said, I want to have a place where I can set up my telescope and be able to see the sky. So that was their preference for moving into the mountains. And so, but she didn't take me around, and I hadn't been in that part of it. And so it took us so long because we didn't do that tour thing that you do first to
Yeah.
say, tell me the intricacies of these neighborhoods. What is it like? What would it be like to live here, whether it's a second home or a first home? What if I wanted to live here full time? What if can I get up in my driveway in the snow? That was a big thing. What type of pay? All those things. Do I want a north facing driveway or west? All those things that would prevent me from enjoying the experience once I got the house. And I can tell. You're the type of person who's going to say and kind of go over all of those things before somebody ever gets in. I'm correct, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. So one of the questions I ask everybody all the time is superpowers. So, when we think of our superpowers, like if you could have in this business, if you could have any superpower, what would it be? And then after you tell us what you would, if you could have it, tell me what you think yours is.
Well, certainly, if I had a superpower, it would be to have that crystal ball that we all talk about in this business. And that is just to know, the hardest part sometimes is not knowing the future, and not knowing, not being able to forecast, and using the data that we have to make the best guess possible for listing a house for a list price or for what someone should offer. And that crystal ball would be really nice to know exactly, where that could land. But we do the best we can with the tools that we have in our toolbox. So, um, as
Absolutely.
far as how I would apply that, or how I use my strengths to apply to my business. I
Mhm.
think I feel like I'm pretty good at discernment. I can read the room. I can
Okay.
read the room with my sellers. I can read the room with my buyers, and it doesn't take me long to pick up on what their baseline is. What are their real, what is their why? What are their needs? What is their true motivation and what they're trying to accomplish with purchasing a home or selling a home? And so with that, I feel like I can read that pretty well normally.
And that's cool. I think that to me, that's the number one, superpower of great agents. And what identifies great agents is to be able to read that room, to be able to discern, this is what I say that I like and that I want, and then go, oh no, this is what you really like because I've been watching you for the last 2 hours, and this is what you get excited about. And how about
Yes.
considering this? And that's, if you're able to
Yes.
do that, I think that is so spectacular, that you're able to do
Mhm.
that. On the listing side, because I know you do a lot of listings as well. What
Mhm.
what is something that you could tell a potential seller? Because sometimes I guess I would imagine when I sold my house in the mountains, I was sad. For people who are having to leave those mountain homes, unless they're getting a bigger one that's 2 blocks away or something like that. What are some of the things that you help them understand in that selling process?
Well, it's important on the selling side to set those reasonable expectations, especially right now. We've been and we still are in a seller's market, a very, very much a seller's market, but maybe not quite as much as a year ago. And so, really being able to set those expectations with my sellers, that we are in a very exclusive area of sorts. We're flanked on three sides of Woodland Park by National Forest. So we just don't have a ton of room to grow. And we have very,
Mhm.
scarcity. It's scarcity of inventory. So with that, knowing that there's demand here and that, people want to live in Woodland Park or in the area, they want to buy homes in this area, but we still have to price it right. We still have to really analyze that data and know that what we're the price tag we're putting on that house, given the current market conditions, is reasonable. And so
Mhm.
setting those expectations ahead of time is really important. And knowing on the spectrum of their motivation, being able to read that room and knowing, are they looking to sell quickly, and do they need to, be more aggressive, or can they sit back and test the market a little bit? Finding that balance is something that is huge in that expectations piece that we want to set.
Yeah, it's funny. When I think of, and I love the fact that you say you're meeting those expectations and helping them be realistic. The last person I can remember, she was telling me her house was worth $850,000, and I'm telling her, well, everybody in the neighborhoods are selling in the 600s. What is so spectacular? She say, well, I spent all this extra money on paint, and I spent, on all these things that don't increase the value of your
Right.
house. But in her mind, well, if I spent this money, then it's got to be worth the amount of money that I spent. And
Right.
having them understand that no, it's based on what the people are willing to pay for it, and
That's right.
nobody's willing to pay for this house, or in my case, maybe a refinance or something. Well, they're not going to give you that amount of money out because it's not
Yeah,
worth what you think it is. And so
exactly.
that is so cool to be able to think that. So, looking into your crystal ball, what do you think the future? I mean, I know you can't predict it, but the
Yeah.
future of mountain houses is. I mean, are there more people that are wanting to move there all the time? What are the trends that you're starting to see now in this time?
Yeah, I think what we're seeing here now is we're going to continue to see appreciation in homes. We might not see 20% appreciation year over year in the mountain community. We might see 10 or 8. But there is still that demand in the mountain communities. There's a lot of second home buyers and maybe people that aren't as tied to the interest rate environment that are still buying. We are seeing, and I'm sure everyone in the real estate and mortgage industry is seeing, that those buyers that are in that range of, they currently own a home, they maybe would want to upgrade or get a little bit of a larger house, or they're in a kind of a weird position because their equity is increasing and they have an excellent interest rate at 2.5% or whatever on their mortgage, and they want to keep that. And so they're hanging tight for a bit right now. And I think that in the next, year, we're going to start to see them get back in the game, as they're going to say, wow, now I can capitalize on it. I've saved some money on not having a higher interest rate. I've built some more equity, and now I'm going to turn that into what I really want. So I think we're going to see a really strong market in the near and far future, with the outlook.
That's so cool. And it's good to hear. And I agree with you. People are going to start coming back into that market. I just did a podcast with a guy named Steve Kiles, and he talks about the 4 reasons not to sit on the fence, the 4 reasons to get going now with appreciation and stuff like that. So if you get an opportunity, you might want to look at that. If you're one of those buyers who's going, I love my 2%, the 2% by prediction, right? Because none of us can really know. I don't think 2% is going to come back for a long time. And we talked about in 1971, the average was 7.3, right where we're at right now. And it's been that way since, for 50 years. And then somehow we think that was a clearance sale, that the clearance sale is over. Now it's time to really start thinking. So, Mary, this has been so cool. We were kind of running down on time. If you could please just give everybody, again, how to get a hold of you, and maybe some closing thoughts that you would have after you tell everybody how to get a hold of you.
Yeah, well, so getting a hold of me, again, it's easy. You can Google Mary Sekowski. I'm at marysekowski.com. My phone number is 719-502-1456. Move with Mary. That's all I'm asking y'all to do, is move with Mary. If you're coming to the mountains, move with Mary.
Hey, I love it. I love it. Well, again, thank you for being on. The 3 things that I say every time at all of the end of my shows is, 1, you can do this. For all, especially all of you who are first-time home buyers, or even to those of you who are thinking about a second home or thinking about moving to the mountains, you can do this. You deserve this. Our country is built in a way that if you're living here, you have the same opportunities as everybody else to experience this. And there are so many programs and opportunities out there. Call us so that we can help you. And that's the 3rd thing, is let us help you. We're the experts. We do this all day long, every day. And we want to make sure that you get the best possible home, that not only that you want, that you deserve, and that you get the best rates and the best things that are out there, and you get the best advice. And I can tell you right now, Mary's one of those people who's going to help you do that. Just having her financial services background is a huge, huge asset. So, Mary, again, thank you for being on. I can't wait to, hopefully we can do this again. Maybe bring one of your mountain clients on. I would even love to broadcast from the mountain. So maybe we could figure out a way that I could run up there. We could find some internet signal somewhere, some satellite up there. I know most homes have it already, but yes, that would be awesome. So thank you again. We'll look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode of the Mile High Real Estate Podcast, Spotlight Podcast. You guys have a wonderful, awesome day. This is Brian Arnold, and if you are listening to this part, you've just watched one of our episodes of the Mile High Real Estate Spotlight, where we've just talked to one of the best of the best. And I want to thank whichever guest that was here. They are phenomenal. They are amazing. They are the top of the top, the best of the best that are in our industry, that are here with us today. And so I encourage you to please call them, pick their brains. They work for you. They enjoy working for you. They are incredibly good at it. And so I want to make sure that you give them a call. So whoever you listen to, whichever one you saw that you were there, please do that. The other thing is, everyone deserves a home. Everyone deserves a home. I say that at the end of my show. You deserve it. Let us help you do it. My goal is to make sure that we see homeownership. It just sickens me to see apartment complexes continue to go up, because I know those are people who haven't been able to make the call or figure out a plan. So let us help put that plan together for you. I have some websites that allow you to do that, and I'll put those in the bottom, but please do. I am a lender. I do work in the lending space. If you do not already have somebody who's pre-qualified you, I would love to be able to have that opportunity to earn your business and qualify you. My number is 720-682-2223. That's 720-682-2223. Give me a call anytime, and I would love to be able to help you with that. We also do living trust. And so when we think about an estate, to try to avoid probate and make sure that doesn't happen. So whether it's you, if you own a home, and you should have a living trust. And I will say that everyone not just deserves it, everyone needs a living trust if they own a home. And then finally, just wanted to thank you for watching these episodes. And so please tune into more. Would love for you to see and be able to shop around. So thank you for doing that. Again, I want to make sure that you know that you can do this. You deserve this. And let us help you make it happen. You guys have an awesome, wonderful, awestruck, incredible day today.